No, that's okay. If you are comfortable, then it's okay.
Actually, nobody at home, so I'm just roaming around all over the home.
Okay. Rajnikant Singh. Rajnikant Singh, I think last class also I mentioned about your number. Can you just give me your number? You're from which place? Are you getting me? Anybody who wants attendance or missed or something like, please write your, but I have your name and registration number and all those details, so nothing to worry much. So good afternoon to you all. I think I'll start showing and sharing my presentation, right? And then we'll proceed further. In the meantime, 1 or 2 minutes, I think other people also can join. हेलो, हाँ नमस्कार, मैं ठीक हूँ. एक्चुअली नहीं, अभी एक क्लास में बिजी है अभी. आई एम टेकिंग ए क्लास. Atul Gupta, good afternoon.
Morning. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm fine.
Very good to see you, sir.
Great. So now we are starting 5th class of paper 2, instructional design. Is it okay? Any queries you have? Anybody? Are you people getting my slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's fine. Any queries you have? As usual, we'll start with starting from revision. And today's task is talking about development of training, right? And then finally we'll conclude.
Sure, sir.
So revision, anybody can say what all we have studied in instructional design? बोलिए आप लोग सब ट्रेनर हैं and we must have some interactive because this online thing also what is available to us it is good if we keep interacting in between. So your audio video are also tested and at the same time I understand we have the two-way communication and things are
Present, sir. Present, sir.
present is okay.
No, as you said, na, audio visual should be come and that should be the interactive
yeah,
session.
yeah, that is true. You are sharp.
Sir, in last class, actually we talk about like revision, then we talk about AD model that was analysis of identifying the need, TNA. And then we talk about steps in training design. So therein we discussed about that there are certain things we need to into consideration while we are going for designing a training. So there are certain steps like evaluation of the what are the resources that the organization has, then what is the technology, what is the status of the technology, financial liability, and so on. So these were some of the things, and then therein you came up with the concept of singularity. Therein we talk about that the time is in coming time the technology would be smarter, or I would say, than us. So that these were some of the things that we discussed, and so accordingly we also have to change ourselves, or we need to acclimatize with all these things. So after that we talk about the why do we what are the objectives, why do we need training objectives. So all these things we talk about. Then we also talk about I think cognitive learning also we discussed.
Absolutely fine. Thank you, Priyanka. I think we talked about starting from TNA
Yes.
and TNI. You see, now because of the changes which have taken place as far as the resources are concerned, as far as the situations are concerned, I mean, TNA was working fine all these years for last so many decades and years, basically as far as the training aspects were concerned. So it's because of these resources which have changed. So this TNA word is not good enough basically. That's how the people have come out with like instructional design. So today when we do the training design, it is not just the theoretical training design we do in a very conventional way. We have to take account of all those resources which are available to us, either in organization or even at the personal level. And that's how we are talking about the training design. And there I emphasized about the training design and how to design things, how to design training, how to design the training which you want to impart. So those were the main focus basically. And in your book, also in your this thing, the people have swiftly moved from TNA, TNI kind of concepts to training design. And that is what we mainly emphasized on. And in the last class, we discussed about the training objectives. And today we will be discussing about the development of training, and then we'll moving it further as far as the in the last class about the delivery of training and the training schedule basically. So one more important aspect I would like to repeat here. You all must know that AD model as far as the training need analysis is concerned. You remember AD model?
Yes, sir.
Can anybody tell? AD model stands for ADDIE.
It's analyze, design, develop, implement, evaluate.
Yeah.
Analyze, analysis,
Design,
design,
develop,
Development.
development,
implement, evaluate.
implementation, and then
Evaluation.
evaluation. So AD model stands for analysis, design, development, implementation and evaluation. So that model here also it is used. Only thing we take into account of when we do analysis or when we talk about the design, training design, we take care of the resources which are available and the situations and conditions. And keeping those things in mind, I introduced a word called the singularity, just to know the things which are changing. It has not changed arbitrarily, and in future also the change which will take place, it is, those are not changing arbitrarily. However, they are changing with certain rules, laws, and as per the system. So that is what we must remember. And singularity is basically the ultimate we talk about, because today, I mean, nobody presumed in last 15 years we all will have the smartphone with us, and that smartphone will keep becoming smarter every day, and that is what happens. So even today, suppose when you think about analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation, you cannot think of simply in the existing resource model which you should basically, rather you all basically think, you already sometime speak also, and you all want the basically the things should change, things should change fast, and audio, video, and internet and computers, all those should be taken into account when you analyze the training need and when you think of implementing the training requirements, right? So that is the way we have to do it. And when you try to design also training program, you must take into those changes into account and then accordingly design, right? So if you see the total course coverage, it starts from TNA, TNI, training design, and then we move to training objectives. And then today we are talking about the development of training. And in the next class, we will talk about the transfer of learning. And that is the way we will finish this instructional design course, right? So we talked about another thing as far as the TNI is concerned, is about the 6 steps. Anybody remember those 6 steps?
और लोगे
Yeah, we discussed about the training need identification, and we talked about the 6 steps. First is identifying problem needs, right? Then second, determine design for need analysis. And then we did third step is collect data, right? And then analyze data, and then provide feedback. And then sixth is develop action plan. And that is what I think we need to do one by one. In the last class, I mentioned about this block diagram. This talks about in general what the instructional design stands for, basically what we need to do. And it all starting from identify and analyze training needs and take it further to the content level and delivery, right? You remember?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if you see this flowchart is given in your booklet. Have you seen your book?
Yes, sir. Last time also you.
Last time I had shown this, and this is given in your book.
Book also you
This
have it. Yes.
book by Every Trainer's Handbook,
Agochia.
Devender
Agochia.
Agochia. And if you see in this instructional design, in both the book we have two chapters basically which covers the syllabus, and in Janaki Ram we have two chapters, is 3 and 4. Sorry, 3 and 4 nahi, 2 and 3, paper 2. In Janaki Ram we have 2 and 3 chapters which covers the instructional design, and in Agochia we have the 2 chapters which covers the syllabus, is chapter 3 and
3 and
4.
4.
And if you see this
Yes, sir.
block diagram, this you can find in the page 115, right? This gives the block diagram, the whole instructional design process. What is the way we move? And it all starts from identifying and training, analyzing training needs. Identify training needs of participants, analyze training needs, categorize training need as information, knowledge, skills, and values. And that is what we need to do whenever we plan training programs. We need to start from this, identify, and then finally categorize training need as information, knowledge, skills, and values. And that's how we set the ball rolling as far as the training program is concerned. Okay. And then once we do these things, identify, analyzing training needs from the finally to categorize the information, knowledge, and values, then we go for writing about the objective of the training program. And that is what we did last time. Can anybody say why do we write the objectives of the training program? We discussed, I think, in the last class. Yes, anybody? Why do we write objectives of training program?
Sir, objective we must for otherwise how can we evaluate the training, because we have to set objective on that basis we provide trainings and then evaluate. Otherwise evaluation is not possible without objective.
Okay. Anybody else?
I feel, sir,
He's talking about evaluation only.
the end result is important for training. What is the final outcome that I'm looking for from the training intervention for the organization?
Right.
So what is the participant that he's going to gain, or organization that will gain from that activity or the training intervention that we are doing? So therefore objective becomes important, and that will lay foundation for all the subsequent steps.
Okay. Anybody else? You see, there are very important aspects of writing objectives for training program. And I'm looking for that. If somebody can say, please. Anybody?
KK Verma, sir, I missed the last class due to some personal reason.
Okay.
I just have one question. Generally, it is knowledge, skill, and attitude that I've heard as a category. I mean, ask model commonly used. What is the reason for values? Because values is typically something very specific. I mean, any specific reason that we categorize information in values, or I mean, what does values connote here?
No, values are very important actually.
No, no. What does it mean here in exact terms? What does value mean here?
You see, for any training program we design, it all starts from information, knowledge. That is the one thing. And second is skill. And third is the values. Values means how do we perceive it, and how we can change our personality with the help of the training what has been conducted. And then values, basically it becomes how you can mix up with the in the organization to face those challenges. Values basically gives you the strength and character basically to undergo that process of training and knowledge.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So value is very important, and invariably you see for any training what we do, generally we focus on information, knowledge and skills, but invariably the value system becomes very important. I think for any organization, if the value system is not very sound, you will find we are unable to take the things forward for a long time, because we feel the pressure. You all must have heard about the different pressure we feel, or we face the problems and then we don't know how to deal with, and then as soon as the problem comes we try to run away from it. So there has to be a value system inculcated in the training when you are imparting a training, and that must make you very strong to face those challenges actually. So there comes the value. Values are very important. Subsequently also we will discuss these aspects.
Yeah.
But presently I just want to know this objectives what we discussed last time. Can we elaborate something more about it? Because this objective is also very important basically when we design a training program. And up to some extent I just give you hints. It objective sets the standard. What is the way we want to conduct the training program, and what is the way we want to achieve the training results actually. So objective sets those standards from starting from conceiving, planning, and it sets the objective, what is the result we expect out of it. So it sets up to some extent that if you remember the word standard, it sets some standard. So when we write objectives, we must be very clear what are the standard we want to achieve in and that standard comes along with the whether you have achieved your objectives for the training or not and then in that time schedule you have achieved the objectives. So objective gives basically the 2-3 important things. One is standard, and then it gives certain kind of time schedule, how it can be achieved. And as some of you mentioned about, it helps in evaluating the complete training program, right? So that's how the objective becomes. And once we set the objectives for the different program, what all we want to achieve and in what duration and what is the schedule we want to achieve, after that we start working on identify program contents. That is what is written the next one. If you see identify program contents and set out topics and areas to be covered. And this basically becomes the part of the development of training. So ultimately, suppose you identify the program content, set out the topic and areas to be covered, and then further it goes into break the content into subtopic and modules. So that is the way you first you decide broadly the program content, and then break the content into subtopics and modules, and then classify modules as information, knowledge, skills, and values. So when you break the content into subtopic and module, you must make sure this submodule, subtopics, and modules give information, knowledge, skills, and values in different quantity, right? That is what we need to work for. And then in the side, we monitor and evaluate the program and organize and sequence the program content. And then we decide the time and other things like learning objectives for each module, and then training methods, in what way the training will be imparted, then allocate time, because that is very important, and then what are the resources we use, material and equipment required, and then give the responsibility for each one is each stakeholders involved in that training program, right? So all these things needs to be very clear. Similarly, if you see here also in ISTD program, we define the different contents, and that is how the different papers have been earmarked. And then we go further the contents and subtopics and modules, and then classify information, classify these modules to provide information, knowledge, skills, and values, and then further work it on. We decide about the learning objectives for each module, training methods, and allocate time, how much time we want to spend on. Because invariably, you see, we may not understand the importance of how much time we want to basically allocate to the particular thing. But depending upon the importance of the content and information, and where we want to have a focus, so that is the way it needs to be done basically. And then material and equipment required, invariably you see, it also becomes very important in the sense as the resources have changed. So in any organization, the resources appears to be very different than conventional one. And that's how even in the book, when we discuss about like in last time I discussed about few of the contents in the book, they talk about in a very conventional way. So that is that we take into account. However, we use the available material and equipment and resources which are easily available to us, and that needs to be taken care of, right? Shall we move further?
Yes, yes, sir.
Sure.
Okay. So development of training, when we discuss, we talk about today, you must think of it cannot be a traditional sorry, as situation and resources changes frequently. So whenever you want to do the instructional design, and either you try to analyze it, it cannot be in a traditional way, as situation and resources both are changing very frequently. And if you see today also, last 6 months or 1 year during the pandemic, you have seen everything have changed so drastically, The same thing was inconceivable around a year back. But today we are, I think, talking very differently, and we understand differently, because in every home, you imagine a situation where earlier we were so apprehensive to give even our mobile and laptop and resources to our children. But today, for last 6 months, more than 6 months now, even children are doing the online classes, and they are appearing for the online exams, and they are appearing the online sessions, and all are doing. And even most of you also must be attending many conferences, online conferences, and you are also like attending the online classes. So a lot of things have changed. So when we talk about the development of training, it cannot be traditional, as situation and resources changes frequently. And these changes earlier were not very well appreciated, but thanks to, because few of the changes which have taken place um, force us to adopt to those changes. And that's how the different materials must be used to enhance the learning knowledge. Different methods should be used in different situations in order to design training programs effectively. So suppose you as a trainer also, when you want to work on a instructional design, you must take those changes into account. And invariably, the organization and individual, whoever accepts these new things, they accordingly accommodate new things, and then they are able to develop the more effective and efficient training programs. They are able to design the training programs more effectively. If you remember, in my class, certainly I had been talking about, suppose, the Facebook, Twitter, and these are the resources basically which are available. Even in organization, many organization object objected in the beginning basically about the use of these resources. Even presently, a lot of organization and bosses may object. However, if you see, these are the resources which are available to us, and those resources are nothing, not within our control, not even within the control of the organization. But certainly, organization can use those resources. Similarly, when you see the email thing came, initially people had a lot of apprehensions how we can work on these emails, Gmail or Yahoo and all those things. But subsequently, it became very common. Similarly, today, when we talk about the social sites resources, suppose you have to you have to design some training program, and taking cognizance of Facebook or Twitter, so many people may laugh at you, but invariably you see that is the way you have to adopt to the new thing. And I, as an unlearned guru, I think I always tell people, you have to unlearn the old way of doing things, and you have to be very comfortable basically in unlearning, or you must understand what are the things going obsolete fast. So you have to discard those old things, and then only you will be more comfortable in accepting new things, new material and new resources, and you will be able to design things, right? Any queries?
No, sir. It's okay.
Can anybody give an example, like if they have designed a training program, and how these modern resources, what we talk about, might have been integrated in the training programs or something? You have any example? Because it might be useful for us to discuss on those lines. One is, you see, let us be very clear. Suppose in the conventional way, even ISTD training program, not many people appreciate about, but those changes are taking place. Just 1 or 2 years back, when I used to tell people we should conduct the online classes for ISTD, and we should record these lectures, so that anybody and anywhere the people sitting, the trainer can take advantage of these. I mean, not many. I didn't have many people who accepted my viewpoints, but today, you see, within a year or two, things have changed. Even resources we found, like the Zoom application which has come. I mean, we find it has become very handy, and people are using it. And even in ISTD, we are using very commonly. And even suppose when you give the online exams, yesterday again I had sent about this online exam which will be conducted from 27th of January for you people. You see, that will also be the online, and for that you will have to be given, you will be given chance to the mock trial. So you all should participate in that mock trial, so that you are very comfortable how to use those resources. So you see, these resources initially, suppose people were very apprehensive, and people were thinking I'm talking something very different, and but I mean, it has become a reality. I mean, today nobody is taking the this has been something very different, right? Yesterday you have seen the message which I sent about the mock trial on WhatsApp.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have
Right.
seen.
So anybody in your organization, have you seen, you are using it in current when you are working, you are using those resources? Anybody?
So I can give an example. I don't know how relatable it would be for
Yeah, try it.
everyone.
No problem.
So, it's because I work for Dell Technologies,
You are
and
Atul, na?
yes, sir, Atul.
Please
So,
go ahead.
in Dell Technologies, it's all about technical things, different kinds of computers. When newcomers come, we train them on computers, about how a certain thing functions and how all the computers are different from one another. So, when we started hiring and also training people in lockdown online, so everything was conducted, in fact the orientation, everything was we are conducting online. So the challenge was this: when people are were part of the training batch, we had labs in our office. On every floor we have couple of labs where people can go get hands-on practice on different kinds of Dell computers, which will have different kind of issues, to identify what issues and requires what solution. So during this time, we have made virtual labs.
Okay.
People can access those virtual labs from their computer sitting at home, and
Right.
there they can go from one computer to another. And there are stimulations. There are videos of how this computer works, how is it inside out, and also within those the virtual lab, we have given issues to the computers for people to find out and solve them. So now all of that, what was happening in real life, big labs of hundreds of computers within them, and so much of infrastructure, servers, everything. Now everything is happening online. Almost 95% of it, we have been able
Right.
to make it possible.
Great. It's a very nice example you gave, actually,
Oh,
because
thank you.
Dell is supposed to be the leader in computer and computer resources. And certainly, I mean, you must have seen from a very close quarter. But that is the way it has not to happen only in Dell, but even in
Yeah,
other company, this has to happen. And even if
yeah,
you see the ISTD also, I mean, we have tried to accept those resources and,
yeah.
slowly we are moving to. We use WhatsApp, we use email, we use group, we use Zoom applications. We do the recording of these classes, and we upload those. And even you see today, even ISTD, suppose every chapter used to conduct a class and only local people used to attend. But today
Yeah.
that is not the scenario. I mean, we conduct the class on Zoom, and students from anywhere in the country can participate and join them. So that kind of things have
And
happened.
they have recordings also available.
Recording also, and like in our case also we have sent the recording to ISTD, and at the same time they do all those things. Even the feedback form, if you see, we have even online give you the form and you submit, and we get the
Yes.
Excel sheets, and that sheet we send it to ISTD, and attendance also we send. So
Yes, sir.
Sir, actually nowadays many schools are started virtual labs, physics lab, chemistry labs. So
uh,
started practical on virtual platform.
in schools,
Schools, yeah,
school also they are doing it.
yes. Virtual lab, virtual
Absolutely.
physics and chemistry.
You see, that is the necessity, is the basically the mother of invention, and that is the way we have to keep adopting it and learn the old way of doing things, and then try to think in new way how it can be done. So this is the way we need to do, right?
Yes,
Okay. So action plan for the program should be starting from like identify program content, because if you do any instructional design, it must start from coming back to after analysis and all those things. You must identify program content, and that program content has to be divided into different subtopics and modules, uh, right? And these subtopics and modules must extend or give information, like it must categorize the content into information, knowledge, competency, and attitudes. This attitude and values, what we have been talking about, those are the things. Skill and competencies are those a part of those, and information and knowledge are the initial part of those. So this is the way we divide the whole content. It should impart certain information, knowledge, and then it should develop certain competencies. So even suppose you as a trainer join this, you must participate. I mean, this Zoom class is not only for me imparting the training class, but at the same time, I generally consider you also as a participant. You have an opportunity to speak, interact, and see how it can be done. And you as a trainer have an opportunity to basically experience those things. You speak to your audience, you speak whenever you get an opportunity, so that you clarify. Like when Atul mentioned about, he was not very sure whether this content will work, but I think he came out with very nice examples, because he is in Dell, and certainly it gives us a lot of insights about what is the way it is being done. And then Rupesh further confirmed about like even in schools it is being done, like lab testings and all those things are being developed. So, and surprisingly in schools, they are not doing a lot of exercise also. Even few of the uh, schools conduct some gym exercise, or physical, or this physio exercise, yoga and other things on online, and then they try to engage students. And you will be surprised. I have a nearby park. One fine day, I went to that park where we have the open gym, and we find one engineering student. He is in second year of engineering. He was doing physical exercise in the open gym area, and somebody was guiding him on his mobile. So basically, the physical training was conducted uh, through those online instructions. So that is the way we undertake the program today. So we must see the content must give you information, knowledge, competencies, and attitudes. It tells you about these four kind of the mm, basically learning experience you must get. Organize and sequence training program content, and all those needs to be basically organized. Different topic sub modules, they need to be organized, and then determine learning outcomes for each subtopic or modules. So when you also conduct a training program, or you write the assignments, or you write answers in your exams, you must be in a position to write the details about the contents and divide the content into subtopics and modules, and then determine learning outcomes for each module. So you must explain these modules are going to uh, give you the knowledge or information or competencies or attitude about this particular thing. And that is the way we do it. Yeah. And that could be true for any kind of training program. Even suppose I conduct this training program, you see, here in ISTD for the simple class. I mean, there are a lot of things I, 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 I have to take into account. So I have to have information, I have to have a knowledge, and I have to have a competencies, and then I have to have an attitude. I have to patiently work on this. Morning when I was just trying to connect, you all must have seen, some of you, the sound was not coming and all those things. So uh, slowly it got used to, and then it started coming. So that is the way we have to define the contents into different subtopics, and then decide about the learning outcomes for each subtopic or modules, right? Now you all are going to be the trainer, and when I think about the trainer, I mean, you as a trainer, you must appreciate, that trainer is basically, you not only develop the contents and different modules, but holistically, the complete picture you should be able to get. What is the way the training is basically, the analysis has been done, the training is being developed, and when the training is imparted, what are the bigger picture, or what are the objectives or strategy we have basically to achieve our targets. So if you see the organize and sequence programming program contents, uh, the main idea should be like balance training activities in terms of intensity and participations. So slowly and slowly you have to develop. So initially in the beginning you talk about the general things, and then you see slowly you develop the intensity and then participations, and once that is achieved, you you are able to achieve the objective or the training program utility. and it must move from simple to complex. This complex, and this is a very simple thing, but we have to take into very considerations. Initially, suppose you talk about the complex thing, the people may not be interested at all, and people will not get the complete idea. So it must move from simple to complex, and it must move from known to the unknown. This is another concept. Basically, when you are trying to develop the contents, uh, slowly you talk about the known things, and then slowly and slowly move towards unknown, thinking the participants may not be knowing this, and but subsequently they need to know about those things. Move from generics to specifics. So your when you are trying to develop the content and modules and submodules, you must have these kind of concepts in mind. It must be simple to complex. It must move from known to unknown. It moves from generics to specific. Maintain momentum of the program, and slowly maintain the momentum of the program. Maintain balance between group activities and individual assignments. So there also you should take care. The few of the group activities should be involved, all should be involved, and then try to work on individual one-to-one assignments and appreciations, right? Provide opportunity for recap and reflections. This is very important. A lot of people, I say, they give contents so huge and so much. There is no time and opportunity for recap and reflections. So, but you all must have experienced. Learning is not a simple thing. It takes a hell lot of patience, and it takes time. And real learning takes place when you really inform, when you think, when you develop a capacity to judge what is right and what is important. Unless you do that, you are never able to learn good things. And learning is a very tricky. That's how you see even simple courses. If you see the 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, it takes time, and you keep reading a lot of contents and informations. Suppose today I tell you something, I tell you about the Google. I tell you about, you can see the contents on the Google and so many things. I can talk about the Facebook or Twitter, but you may not appreciate that much. But if you get enough time to recap and reflect, and then uh, work on it, you will be able to find you are getting a catch, and you get the true value. Because so many things are going on. Even in the newspaper, if you see, I'm not sure how many of you get time to read newspaper. If you see read newspaper, you turn the pages, I mean, there's so many things are written, and so many people have been writing so many things. But humanly it is not possible for you to observe every piece of article and read every piece of article, and every individual, you can't do it. So you have to basically give enough time to recap and reflect, and you should be in a position to decide about what is right and what is not so right. So establish common terminology and language, because there are new things which are going to come. You will find, if you work on a common terminology, I mean, if you keep talking about those things and similar language you use, you will be able to do it. Like most of you might be thinking very, like when I talk about unlearning, lot of people, they have not listened and they have not read anything about it. So even for hours, suppose I talk about, they are not in a position to recap and reflect because it doesn't move from simple to complex, known to unknown. This word itself is so heavy in the, it becomes very, but once we suppose move from simple to complex and move in a systematic manner, you will find you are getting advantage and you are able to get the value of something what is being taught to you. Hmm? Right? Is it making sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shall we move forward?
Yes, sir.
How many of you are comfortable with unlearning word, what I keep mentioning about?
Yes, sir.
Are you comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think that's a part of life. We cannot progress unless, I mean, I don't know exactly if we can unlearn, but at least
But sir,
try
sometimes
to
it's
unlearn.
very uncomfortable. Yeah, right. Sometimes it's very uncomfortable to unlearn something.
It is right. I mean, not everybody probably knows that art of unlearning.
Yeah.
For me, it is
Yes,
just, I think that makes it easy to adapt to the newer changes that are coming.
That happens because this common terminology, if you see what I talk about, it has not become common. All of you know about my books on unlearning.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you seen somewhere?
Yes, yes. I have seen, sir. I have to read actually. I'm just going to purchase it.
Rupesh?
Ah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have seen that book, but I have to purchase it because I have not read it so far.
Okay.
So,
So Atul, when you are talking about, suppose you are using unlearning,
Yeah.
you see, in my case, basically, it's now 15 years past. I
Yeah.
wrote my book of unlearning in 2005. Can you imagine?
Okay. Yes.
So this common terminology when we talk about, and since then basically I keep talking about the new terminology basically, so that the people become very comfortable in taking things forward in the new environment. Uh,
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, that unlearning has not become popular because it has not got the publicity which it deserves.
Yeah.
Most people we do, are just not aware and don't know about it. But certainly, if you spend some time and read about those books are basically available. When I talk about, suppose I tell you to go through, suppose Facebook and Twitter and all those things, LinkedIn. I hope you all have accounts on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn,
Yes. Yes.
and using those resources to enhance your knowledge and appreciations. So, if you do that, then you will find you are in a position to adjust or see what is the insights and what are the right information and what is not so right information. And because that is very tricky. As I said, even in the newspaper, when you see, turn the page, I mean, there are so many things are written. You cannot read everything. You cannot
Sure.
comprehend everything. But if you decide or if you pre-decide about certain things, like this source gives you some right information. This source gives you some relevant things. If you are able to decide, then I think you become a better person, better judge, because then only you are able to judge right things slowly, and it takes a lot of time. So suppose 2005, when I took a premature retirement from Indian Air Force, I mean, that time the idea came to me, and since then, because I had been as such encountering a lot of changes myself, and even till today, if you see, so many things I keep doing. I keep doing so many things new only every time in a new way, and that is the way I adopt. And same thing I try to communicate to the people in a different way whenever I get an opportunity to tell, to appreciate people, so that basically you know what is the way things can improve and things can be accepted. So Rupesh, I think, is a little active on some Facebook, so he might have confessed he has
Yeah,
seen,
daily I have
he
seen.
knows
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Huh?
Daily I
Yeah, we see
see
your
your sir
updates, sir.
Okay.
on.
How many of you operate Facebook and Twitter, especially, and LinkedIn
Yeah, I do, sir.
on daily basis?
Not daily basis, but yeah, I have my accounts on.
Atul Gupta.
Yes.
I do it virtually on daily basis. I am not very regular in LinkedIn, but Facebook, Twitter, I'm regular.
Okay. Because you see the complete package, they provide you the complete package, the Facebook, Twitter, and that's how even yesterday I think I received a mail from a mail and WhatsApp from ISTD. They have opened an account on Facebook and Twitter. I think I will be forwarding to you people again, I think today sometime. And now again they have given, you should go to that Facebook page and Twitter page and LinkedIn page of ISTD, this institution, right? So that is the way they keep adopting actually for years to come. So last 15 years or 20 years, basically, invariably, as I am in a different field, I keep giving the importance. I mean, basically, keep telling about the importance to the people to adopt to those new mentality, new mindset, and those comes basically from the unlearning. And if we are able to suppose unlearn, it becomes easy for us. Otherwise, anything new what is happening around us becomes too bothersome for us. And I have seen the people, they start worrying about so many things. But even if suppose I tell something different, they are not ready to accept it, because they think, how can I be right? Because they have their some everybody has their own presumptions, and it is not very easy for the people to accept I may be right. So they keep questioning a lot of things. So questioning is okay. You can do a lot of questioning, but the way society have changed, the way things have changed. I mean, you might be young. You might take another 5 years, 10 years to find out what are the right information, what are the people who are writing well and writing right, writing relevant. It takes a lot of time. I mean, in 90s, I have done few of the things which helps me even today to understand. Like in 90s, when I think I was doing, suppose this computer thing, and a lot of computerization to the organization and establishments all around me. And that time, I think people were not ready to accept even there is a change and computerization needs to be done. In 90s, subsequently, it all started coming to the banks and other things. Then slowly people became very comfortable. But that time it was not very comfortable that time. Just I will attend. Hello. Good afternoon. तबीयत ठीक है, मैं अभी ना एक क्लास में हूँ, आधे घंटे में फोन करता हूँ आपको। ओके। I think generally my phone doesn't ring, so I kept it on, and now I will keep it off. Today it is ringing once or twice. Okay. So what I was telling. I will switch off. Right? Where was I?
That organize and sequence program continuity.
Organization. So what I was talking in 90s when I was telling organization to adopt computers, that time I think not many, I didn't have many followers. That time also the people were very reluctant to listen to me and follow those things. But I was very convinced, and I was convinced not because as an Indian I had a knowledge and I knew everything, and no. You see, I read that one book that time in 90s. I'm not sure if many of you have heard about. Uh, is a Bill Gates. You know Bill Gates?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
soft.
Today I think software. This legend person who developed Windows that time and Office subsequently. you all know about him, Bill Gates. So
Yes, sir.
he was the chairman of the Microsoft, and he wrote two nice books. If you remember, anybody has read his book, Bill Gates?
Sir, I know, but I haven't. I know, but I haven't read it.
Fortunately, I read the two of his book. One he wrote initially, The Road Ahead, in 90s. I mean, and
Yes,
you'll be
yes, sir.
surprised. In 90s, around in my society and even in the organization, I was in Air Force. Air Force, a very dynamic organization, and a lot of things kept on changing over there. Even though when I try to tell people about the changes which are going to happen, and it is going to happen for sure, and that came because I read that book by Bill Gates, and in the book Road Ahead, he wrote about those things in next 10 years and 20 years. These are the things which are going to happen, and fortunately, it all happened. And the second book which he wrote about the business at the speed of thought, that was the second book in the late 90s which came, and that give you the clear picture in what way the organization is going to change, and the changes happened accordingly. I was convinced, but not many was convinced. And even till today, when I read Bill Gates for so many things, I find in 90s I have developed him as a godfather, suppose, or consider him one of the person in the world who tells something relevant. And I find even today it is relevant. Even at this age, my age, I need not to go here and there much, just to accept his words and try to understand what is right. So I'm not telling I may be right, I may be wrong, and it's not a one-day process. Like in 2005, when I wrote about unlearning, I mean, I was very apprehensive. I didn't know whether unlearning is going to serve the purpose, because people will immediately grasp my ideas. And even my wife used to tell, there is no copyright thing and all those things, people will grasp and people will start copying. And it happened also up to some extent. The people around me, whoever have heard about it, about those things, they copied left and right, without even acknowledging my contributions, even complimenting me and all those things. They copied, and they are doing till today also. Till today they are copying it. But then copying has its own limitation. I have written so many things, like if you see my book, 400 pages, I have written so many things. People can hardly copy one or two things, nothing else. It's not very easy to even copy. And appreciating further becomes a huge challenge, actually. It doesn't happen. So what I always tell people, and tell you all, you must develop a knack of knowing it right and finding it right, searching it right, and keep working on it. Keep working on it. Because if you all remember, the great people are not born every day. The great ideas are not born every day. Suppose computer came in 1960s or 70s or around, computer remain our life for last 50 or 60 years, and it will remain for next 100 years or so, till the time we develop something very drastically different things and all those things. Similarly, the smartphone came, it remains. Similarly, if you think about the individual, Mukesh Ambani is there, Ambanis are there. They are there. They are growing every day. I mean, suppose they have come out with a Geo. The Geo is going to be with us for the years to come, and they are going to develop different aspects. So you must keep building on those resources. Today we have the Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi. If you see, I mean, for 13 years or 14 years, he was a chief minister of a largest state of India. He remained there. And for last 7 8 years, he is the prime minister. Every day he speaks. Yesterday also in Fiki, he has spoken about, and he gives his own narratives. If you see, if you try to understand and listen him, you will find he gives his own narratives. He explains each and everything. What is the way it going to evolve? The society is going to evolve, and India is going to evolve, and that is not going to be different in the years to come. In the years to come, please remember, it never happens. It never happens. I mean, slowly the things becomes little refined, and we come to know, and that is the way it happens. And similarly, when I talked about the suppose Bill Gates of 90s, he remained there. Even today, when he tells something like, when the demonetization happened in India, Bill Gates was the first person who came and supported Prime Minister Narendra Modi and said the cashless transaction has to be the future. And you see, slowly this happened. For every transaction today, thanks to COVID and pandemic, even the shopkeeper vendors and all those small business vendors, you will find they are doing the online transactions. And that is the reality. That is the way it has happened. So please try to understand those knowledge and information, and plus individual who are working on those knowledge and information are not going to change drastically. They are going to rule the world year after year, year after year. So you must develop that knack of judging the people and situations and events. That is the way it happens, and keep developing it. Suppose when I talk about singularity, I talk about the smartphone, I talk about the Facebook, I talk about the Twitter. I mean, presently those are driving our life. So you must focus on that and move on further. So determine learning outcomes for each topic and modules. As I said, information, and I always emphasize it must be useful and relevant in today's world, and that is always very tricky. You may agree with me, you may not agree with me, you think I am not talking sense, but please remember, any information, and you must be in a position to judge. You are all senior person, you all are professionals. You must be able to judge whether you are getting the useful and relevant information in today's world. Knowledge worth knowing for present and future career. Knowledge is also not very easy thing. Suppose you try to acquire some knowledge, after some time it becomes irrelevant, it goes obsolete. Today, anybody can say what is the this information or knowledge remains relevant for the day, for how long? Hmm? Any idea? Anybody?
No idea, sir.
Huh?
No
So
idea.
it will remain, I think, forever. I think information and knowledge definitely remain forever. I mean, in coming years.
No, I mean, I think let us come to the particular term. Like we talk about the computer, suppose desktop and laptop. What are the life of desktop and laptop?
3 to 4 years.
Correct.
4 years max.
4 to 5 years it is presumed. Although
5
you
years.
might be having your laptop or desktop for last 10 years, but generally it is presumed its life is 4 to 5 years. After 4 or 5 years, it becomes obsolete and you need to replace. Similarly, what is the life of the smartphones?
5, yeah.
Huh?
Maximum 2 years. Maximum 2 years.
1 year or 2 years.
Yeah,
So
1 or 2 years, yeah.
and similarly, for a lot of knowledge and information, if you see, if you can Google these things and find out, there are a lot of knowledge or information, they become obsolete in generally 1.5 year, 2 years. You know this? You can Google it, but
Okay.
what I'm telling is the life of any knowledge or information also not remains throughout the life as it is presumed by many of you, because we are not exposed to those kind of things, but they become obsolete and irrelevant. So whenever we try to read something and try to acquire knowledge and information, those things must be kept. You as a trainer must keep those things in mind, right? So if things becomes like, even in MBA it is very famous. If you have done MBA, the people say MBA for 1.5 year, you whatever you study, by the time you come to the industry, your uh, your knowledge about, or your whatever you have studied, they become obsolete in 1.5 year or 2 years. Then you have to work on fresh. And in just 5, 10 years back, it was said, even today and in the years to come, you will find like Facebook or Twitter was not there 10 years back. Today, the Facebook and Twitter is the biggest company in the world, basically. The Google is the biggest company in the world. For 20 years before, it was nobody knew about it. There will be such company available. So those have come up. And in the future, you will find even our children who are young, if you have to educate them to accept the new things and learn the old one. And you know why you have to do it? Because in suppose next 5 years or so, there will be the 70% of the jobs which we are not even thought of presently. So that kind of situation we are going to encounter at the moment. So you have to keep thinking what information, what knowledge. And then when we talk about the competencies and skill, must see it don't become obsolete soon. It help to build future. You see, my emphasis is always basically when I talk about the competencies and skill, I keep those things in mind. It must survive for 10 years, 5 years. Suppose I give you some skill today. I tell you the online classes, tell you about the resources, I tell you about the book. My presumption is for 5, 10 years at least, it will help you to get those things, to to enhance your knowledge, right? And then finally you must develop an attitude and values which will shape your to live a great life. So you must be satisfied, you must be contented, you must be happy, happy. Uh, we we have started now happiness class also somewhere. So that is the way we have to develop. We must develop that attitude and personality, right? A little detail on information. When we talk about the information knowledge, I mean, what are the main thing we want to basically acquire? You see, after for information, I think I just talk about. Okay. Information after the presentation by bank official, participants are able to specify major conditions for loan. So you see, basically we have to explain any training program which you conduct, it must give you the relevant information. After going through the documents and other material, participants are able to find the key elements. So there it rests with the information. And as far as the knowledge is concerned, after discussion in the group, the participants are able to explain key factors that influence individual performance, right? And after presentation, the participants are able to find the key leadership function in relation to working for the organization. So it must give you enough knowledge. Similarly, we talk about the competencies and skill. So after completing the assignment, the participants are able to prepare a questionnaire for survey, and upon practice and discussion session, a participant is able to demonstrate conduct of interview. So suppose we conduct a training program for taking interview, the participant should be in a position to do it. And then attitude and values. After going through exercise on self-awareness, each participant agree to change 2 personality traits in next 6 months. So suppose in my case also, when I think ask you people in the last class, how many of you have the Facebook account, how many of you have the Twitter account, and then I try to find out whether how much you are accustomed to accept those new things. And then I expect I think I remember Rupesh Rai and others who come to my Facebook page and try to interact sometime, write something. I urge all, it's not a one-day job. You may take months, years, or sometime long, basically, to write few lines. And it's not a very easy thing. And for that, you need to change your personality. You need to unlearn few of the things on what you are built basically. So it's not a very easy job. So but that is the way we have to adopt it. On completion of exercise, participant will be able to list key attributes for effective teamwork. So if suppose we are working on team, so we must know what are the other people are feeling, and then we must know their feelings and we must adjust with them. We must adjust with. Similarly, suppose when we talk about the online thing, few people are communicating, few are not communicating, but that is the way we must develop the values and develop our skills, right? We'll talk about the few design theory before we wrap up today's thing. And there are 3 design theory invariably is written in your book by the Janaki Ram. These are elaboration theory, and second is simplifying condition method, and third is Gagne-Brigg theory, right? These are basically these are the theory for development of training program. So when you plan to develop a training program, you should use these kind of, I mean, these three theories which have been worked out in your book. Although there are not given like Facebook or Twitter, which I keep invariably talking about. That is the new kind of theory I keep talking about. But we'll discuss this first theory, three theory given in your book. And in elaboration theory, it's basically, as the word implies, elaboration. Can anybody explain little on this? Hello? As the name suggests.
As the name, sir, elaboration means we have to explain more about, I mean, the topic and the, what we want to say.
Yeah. Go ahead. Elaborate like what? Earlier we have talked about, you see, from easy to hard.
Yeah. Yes,
from
sir.
Basic to complex. From known to unknown. Similarly,
Yes,
we
sir.
should move. No?
Generic to specific momentum.
There are generally two sequencing. It is being discussed: topical sequencing and spiral sequencing. So in topical sequencing, we talk about, suppose first we'll discuss about the easy thing, and then slowly we move towards the complex one, right? In spiral sequencing, what we talk about, we from the simple one to the complex. For all these, we divide in just basics first. In basic, we talk about the basic one level, we talk about the basics of second level, basics of third level, basics of fourth level. That is called the spiral sequencing. And then again, we come back from the basic to the moderate, middle one, middle level one, and then higher level one. That is called spiral sequencing. So when you try to develop the contents and develop the different topic and sub module and modules, you should be either topical from easy to the complex one, that is called topical sequencing, or spiral sequencing, where we discuss about the basics of from easy to hard, and then we will move in a spiral way, right? And then coming to like simplifying conditions method, it was given by Charles Regluth. Invariably in these books also, these all theory are given basically from those people. But I always encourage, I mean, taking the example of Baba Ramdev, if you see, that person has become so smart and reliable in the country. Today, they have developed each and everything basically on their own, and they have developed the content from the very Indian perspective, and has given very new things to the present world. And they are not in a one day job, and last 20-30 years they have been giving, and they give basically all kind of things, not only yoga. You go to Haridwar, you will find the legend kind of activities what are going on there. But even on TVs, when he comes, you will find online yoga and all those things. A lot of people switch on the Astha channel and they try to learn there. So that is the way you as a trainer, you should try to focus on, in a new perspective, in a new situations, how can you develop the very domestic kind, local for vocal kind of thing, and you become the brand in yourself, in your company. You talk about something which you know better, and that has a scope for the future. So that is the way I think you all trainers should develop in a right fashion. And then that is what I think I expect as my participants should be looking for these things. Okay. So when we talk about this, simplifying conditions method, it all complex task has two forms, simple and more complex version. So it's basically two part, and one is the epitomizing. Epitomizing means simplest version of the task, and then elaborating it further. That is more complex version. So either, sorry, not either. We talk about the simplest version of the task. They are followed, they are taught to the people first, and then subsequently we move to the elaborating one, and that is called the tough one, complex one, complex version, right? Then another theory is given, Gagne-Briggs theory, and this is applicable to cognitive, behavioral, and attitudinal learning, and it provides a set of procedure for each instructional event to facilitate increase in the level of learning. And this theory identifies 9 events of instruction, and those 9 events are given in your book, and in my presentation also I have listed those for your benefit, and they are gaining attention and right, informing the learner of the goal. So basically the training starts from develop the contents so that gaining attention. So that part is basically generally it is taken into consideration, and then stimulating recall of prior relevant learning, present material to be learned, and then provide guidance for learning, and then elicit the performance. So ultimately you all like I keep telling you to speak. So basically participating and getting involved, and then trying to find out, similarly assess performance, and then enhancing retention and transfer, and then finding out how much you can retain those informations and find out, right? Outcome of instructional design, it must various factors facilitate learning, retention, and transfer. Various factors affect instructional design. Identification of evaluation objective, identification of alternative methods of instruction. So we must take care of these things and ensure the instructional design gives such outcome. So various factors we have to consider which helps in facilitating or retention and transfer of training. Various factors affect instructional design, like resources, what are available, and what are the present situations, and then identification of the evaluation objectives, and then alternative methods of instructions. Like in between I keep talking about something different, starting from either Facebook or Twitter, and then try to work it out further how they are going to help you in analyzing the training need for your organization. And that becomes very, very important, right? Training provide value to the organization. Identification of evaluation objectives. It must provide the value to the organization. Training is producing required results. Work quality is improving, and continuous improvement in performance is taking place. Like when we conduct training or when we conduct the program, I mean, it must see the continuous improvement takes place. Organizational cost cutting is happening. And today, because the cost factor is very important, we can't spend a lot of money and then work it on. So ultimately, you should work something like in your book, it is written about the computer-based training. However, I personally feel you have to move beyond this and take your training program to your mobile level, or like we discussed about the online lab and all those things. Something like a simulator and virtual reality or interactive multimedia kind of thing, what we need to basically develop. Right? In your book, small portions written something about the CBT or any other computer way of learning. However, they are very important. And you as a trainer, I always feel you must develop the uh, skill to upgrade yourself and keep updated. Right? Okay. So training design is an overall umbrella of TNA and TNI in today's technological environment. So you must keep upgrading yourself and keep enhancing your knowledge. Right? So with this, I think I finished my this class, fifth class, and we'll see you on next sixth class, which is going to be the next Sunday. Right?
Can you show me the last slide? The last slide, please.
Last slide to just conclusion I wrote.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
you
just
want before that?
before that. Before that. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
This I talk about the dilemmas, which I have discussed, I think, earlier. So,
Yeah.
okay. Any question? So please feel free to ask any question if you have, and then certainly. Okay.
Okay, sir. Next.
You get now lunch break, and we'll see you on at 2 o'clock.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
Sure,
If you
sir.
have no
Sure.
question, then
Thank you, sir.
thank you and bye bye.
Bye. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
sir.
Okay. See you at 2 o'clock, and we'll take it forward.